What's going on, everybody? Happy Friday. It's the Friday before the Super Bowl 55. We got the Chiefs and the Buccaneers. I've got my guy, the football therapist, aka Patrick Sweeney, to break it all down with me. Pat, thanks for coming on, my man.
Yeah, Blaine, thank you for having me on. I'm excited about this one. I'm excited about this game. Let's get to it, man.
Yeah, so without further ado, this episode we are going to break down every position group and then we're going to give you our Super Bowl picks. As you may know, it's Kansas City. They're going to Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay, the first team to ever host a Super Bowl. And the real storyline is the GOAT versus the apprentice, Tom Brady versus Patrick Mahomes. Are we seeing a passing of the torch this weekend? Or is Tom Brady going to give Patrick Mahomes a little bit taste of his own medicine of that the greatness that is Tom Brady? So let's start breaking it down. We're going to start off, might as well just start off at the quarterback position. That's been the storyline going in the past couple weeks. Tom Brady versus Patrick Mahomes. Pat, who's got the edge?
Well, I think it's Kansas City here in terms of talent. Patrick Mahomes has showed in his 3 seasons as a starter that he just wins, and he wins by doing a lot of different things. He's mobile, he could beat you on the ground. His passing, obviously, his accuracy is terrific. He has the arm strength. I would give the slight edge to Kansas City. It's not a huge edge because we know Tom Brady. He just keeps getting to these Super Bowls, even though he hasn't looked as efficient all year, in my opinion, compared to some of his prior years. He still has it. He still has the arm talent, but I still have to give it to Patrick Mahomes in terms of just quarterback talent right now.
Yeah, I agree with you there. It's just going to be very slim, Patrick Mahomes,
Mhm.
because of just the ability that he can throw from any angle. He can throw on the move, the versatility that he has with his being able to run and pass. But I think we're gonna really see that Tom Brady's him being there. This is gonna be the 10th time that he's been in the Super Bowl. Hard to
Mhm.
freaking imagine, right? But
Yeah, it's
still, I think that experience is gonna it narrows the gap considerably from the talent from that is Mahomes to Brady. But I agree, I got to give Mahomes a slight edge there. Well,
and I think
do you think the turf toe is going to play any of a role this weekend?
I don't think so. I think it's kind of been long enough to where I think he'll be ready to go. I mean, he had the extra week really helps these players get a little bit healthier for some of these guys who are struggling with their injuries. So I don't think it's going to play much of an impact for Patrick Mahomes. But
Yeah,
I also think, like you said, the big thing here for Brady is he has that experience. I mean, we know what he's done. He just constantly gets these championship games. He's constantly getting to the Super Bowl. I think his knowledge of what it takes to win these games is what's going to have to drive him and really try to get to that seventh Super Bowl win.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's going to be a very interesting quarterback game with the talent and then the experience. It's going to be a very interesting comparison to watch. So let's move
Mhm.
on to the running backs now. So for the Bucks, you have Leonard Fournette, Ronald Jones, LaShawn McCoy, and Keyshawn Vaughn. Then you have for the Chiefs, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Darrell Williams, Le'Veon Bell, who people we don't even know that he's been playing in the playoffs, and
No.
Darwin Thompson. Who's got the edge there, Patrick?
So for me, out of this position group, when looking at running backs, you want to go with the guy to me who's going to make the biggest impact, who has the most explosive playmaking ability. And to me, that's Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I think this guy, he was the first round pick for a reason. He was drafted before Jonathan Taylor, DeAndre Swift, because he's just a versatile back who in these type of games could really explode. I think we saw it a little bit last year with Damian Williams, where in this Chiefs offense, any running back can really shine in these big games. And if you get one big explosive play out of him, then I really would consider that a win. So I'm going to go with Clyde Edwards-Helaire just because he's the most talented back. I think Tampa Bay does have more depth at the position, but give me Clyde over the depth in this type of game.
I'm actually gonna ride slightly to the Bucks just because
Mm-hmm.
I think Ronald Jones is finally gonna be healthy enough with that quad, and he's gonna be able to give a little bit of a change of pace. But Leonard Fournette had a very sneaky had been a very sneaky postseason. He's
Mm-hmm.
been able to be versatile, catch the balls out of the backfield. He's had I think a touchdown in every postseason game so far. I think he's really been slept on here, and I think I'm gonna roll with the Bucks slightly because I know what I can get from two backs. I think other than Clyde Edwards-Helaire, you're not gonna know what you're gonna get out of Kansas City with Williams, and then Bell's been absolutely non-existent. I couldn't even have told you that he was on the Chiefs roster this postseason, so I'm gonna slightly go with the Bucks and disagree with you on that one.
Yeah, and like I said, I could definitely see your argument because they are very talented on the Buck side. They have more depth at the position. I just personally, if I want a guy taking over the game, I think Clyde Edwards-Helaire could be that guy.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's look at the wide receiver tight end group, and that this is probably the hottest topic out of and the hardest one to debate. There's skill positions all over the field.
Mhm.
For Tampa Bay, you have Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Antonio Brown was listed as questionable today. It looks like he's going to be able to play. Scotty Miller, Tyler Johnson, and then you have also Gronk, Cameron Brate. And then who would have thought if OJ Howard would have been able to play,
Yeah,
that
I
they would
know.
have him as well on that roster. And then for the Chiefs, again, this list is no slouch either. Tyreek Hill, Sammy Watkins was listed as questionable. Looks like he's going to be able to give it a go. Mecole
Mhm.
Hardman, Demarcus Robinson was just activated off of COVID this week, and then Travis Kelce and Ricky Seals Jones. What do we have
Yeah,
here? There's a lot of talent all over the field in the skill position
just
group.
like listening to you list all these guys, it's like, wow, like this is going to be a really amped up Super Bowl. But I really went back and forth with this one because Mike Evans to me has been playing really good. Chris Godwin, he had a couple of drops in that last game, which really could have been explosive plays. Even Scotty Miller got involved, but I can't discount what the Chiefs have. Tyreek Hill is just an explosive playmaker. We saw it the last time these teams played. He had 269 yards. Like that is just incredible to think about that he had 13 catches, 269 yards. And then of course Travis Kelce to me is the biggest mismatch in the NFL right now at the tight end position. The guy is a beast. He catches pretty much anything. You can't really stop him. You just got to kind of contain him. So although it's really close, I would give the slight edge to the Chiefs because of what Kelce brings to the table in terms of the tight end position.
Yeah, I really can't argue with you there because if you list off the top three players that are going to be on the field, it probably goes Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, and Tyreek Hill in whatever
Mhm.
order that you want. But those are the three best players that are going to be on the field. No offense to Antonio Brown, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin,
Yeah.
Gronk. They're all legit and everything. But I think just based off of what just those two guys alone are matchup nightmares. And Tyreek Hill, even if he's double covered, his speed and quickness out of his breaks is what makes him difficult on the outside. You can use him on jet sweeps. And then Travis Kelce is just virtually unguardable. It's going to be
Mhm.
real. That's going to be the biggest matchup that I really want to see is how is Tampa going to guard Travis Kelce? Because
Yeah, because
are you gonna throw Devin White out there on him? Because Devin White's been electric this postseason. Or are you gonna? I know Antoine Winfield looks like he's healthy this week. He was out in the Green Bay game. Are they gonna throw him on him? It's really gonna be that's the biggest question mark that for me and this out of this entire Super Bowl. But I agree, Kansas City's got a slight edge just because you got the best ones. You have the best three players on the field. So
Mhm. And the big thing is Tampa Bay has already been torched by Tyreek Hill. You know they're gonna look at that game and they're gonna be like,
that
we
first
could not
quarter
stop this
alone,
guy.
as a
Yeah,
fantasy owner,
yeah, big
oh,
time fantasy owner. And I feel like they're gonna try to overcompensate a little bit for that. And that definitely leaves Travis Kelce, like you said. What are they gonna do about him? If they're gonna overcompensate to try to stop Tyreek Hill, I think Travis Kelce is gonna have a monster game here.
yeah, without a doubt. So let's go transition now to who's going to be the protection, which is the offensive line. And I think this is a really interesting and a huge component. Eric Fisher is out with that torn Achilles. And I think
Mhm.
that's the story. That could be the storyline of how this game's going to go. If that Bucks defense can pressure that left side with JPP or Shaq Barrett. But for the offensive
Mhm.
line for the Bucks, you have Donovan Smith, Ali Marpet, Ryan Jensen, Aaron Stinney, and Tristan Wirfs. And then for the Chiefs, again, Eric Fisher's out, so Mike Remmers will be stepping in with Nick Allegretti, Austin Ryder, Stefan Wisniewski, and Andrew Wiley.
Mhm.
What we got here?
So I'm leaning Bucks for this just because of that injury concern. We haven't seen this Chiefs five really on the field yet, much at all. Uh, I think it's going to be very difficult at the start of the game with this explosive Bucks pass rush to kind of get into a rhythm. I think what the Chiefs are going to have to do is utilize a lot of quick passing really early. Hope that this offensive line can really hold up. But Mike Remmers, this is one of my talking points that I've been trying to discuss a lot. Is he's moving from the right side now to the left side. That's a big difference. That blind side, can he hold up? I really don't know. So I would lean Bucks because they're healthier. I trust them a little bit more. They've been more coherent as a group. And then I think Tristan Wirfs, the rookie, has had a really good year, really improved this offensive line. So I would slightly lean Bucks here just because of that injury concern issue.
Yeah, without a doubt, I got to go Bucks as well. And I think if Eric Fisher is playing, I'd probably go Chiefs. Like
Yeah,
that's
100%.
how good Eric Fisher is. I don't think people forget that he was a former number 1 overall pick. I think
Hmm.
that really goes under the water. And they have only played without Eric Fisher this year for 18 snaps, which was those 18 snaps the other night in Buffalo, so or against Buffalo, excuse me. So and I think for me, the Bucks are better at every position other than right guard, in my opinion. I think
Yeah.
Wisniewski's got that one locked up over Stinney, but I think they're better on all other 4 out of the 5 positions. So I agree. Eric Fisher is a huge talking point. He's probably the biggest storyline to see whether or not that Bucks D line can really hone in. So I agree. Got to go Bucks there. And then so let's transition to the other side of the ball. We already started kind of talking about the D line. And I think this is almost a no-brainer for the both of us. I'm going Bucks. Do you agree?
I think overall the Bucks definitely have the best defensive line of the two on all levels. But again, I think Chris Jones is really going to be a key piece of the Super Bowl again. Last year, watching him in that Super Bowl, he was just so dominant going against that San Francisco 49ers offensive line. So while I do agree overall, I think the Bucks defensive line is much better than the Chiefs defensive line. I think if I could pick one player out of both defenses to put as an X factor, it's going to be Chris Jones. If he could get disruption up the middle and really get Tom Brady off his mark. That's how you beat Tom Brady, that middle interior pass rush. So he's going to be the key piece to me in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I agree with you there that if out of the entire D line, Chris Jones is the best player out in the position group without a doubt. But I think
Mhm.
just the depth that Tampa Bay has
Mhm.
makes it almost a huge problem. Like you have Vita Vea is now back, and he actually made a huge
Huge,
impact in the NFC Championship game. That
big
many
impact.
and he saw way more snaps than I thought he was going to get. Then you
Mhm.
have JPP. He's had a monster season, and people really, I mean, he doesn't have the sacks numbers, but he pass break, pass deflections, all that. And
Mhm.
then Shaq Barrett on the other side, he had a monster year last year. You knew he wasn't gonna be able to live up to what he did a year ago, but still, he's a absolute force to be reckoned with. And Anthony Nelson for Tampa Bay, just the list goes on. I think the
Yeah.
real storyline though is that Frank Clark has really been nowhere to be found this season for
Mhm.
Kansas City. And other than Chris Jones, they really can have not gotten to the quarterback this year.
Yeah,
So
100% agree.
yeah,
Uh,
so I think the depth of Tampa Bay is really what's gonna allow them to pin their ears back, and I think the defensive line also gets an edge there on top of it. The Kansas City has one lineman out, and it's easily their best lineman. So
mhm.
that's also a factor I think that needed to take into effect. So let's
Yeah,
transition now to the second part of the defense, the linebacking crew.
mhm.
And that's for the Bucks, Devin White, Levante David, and Kevin Minter. As for the Chiefs, it's Anthony Hitchens, Damian Wilson, and Ben Neiman. What we got here, Pat?
I'm leaning Bucks this one. I think Levante David and Devin White just really have been a terrific linebacker duo. They fly all over the field. They're pretty good in pass coverage. I think that this is going to be one of the most important groups for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers because we know that the Chiefs are going to try to get mismatches against these linebackers. Can they hold up in coverage? I think that they could do a decent job for most of the game and really just try to get those ball carriers tackled because you can't miss tackles against this Chiefs team. So I'd lean the Bucks here.
Yeah, for me, I think this is the most lopsided group out of all of them. I think the gap
Mhm,
is a lot bigger than people really realize. You have to remember Willie Gay got hurt last week in practice. He was
mhm.
supposed to be a starter this weekend, and he ended up is out with a knee injury. And I think you have easily two potentially of the top 15 linebackers in football in Tampa
Oh,
Bay.
100%, yeah.
That's how scary. I mean, Levante David has been an absolute stud for the past 5 to 8 years and has been the
Mhm,
dude in Tampa Bay when they've really been pretty bad. And then now Devin White has been on an absolute tear.
mhm.
I mean, he didn't play the Washington game, but the last two games he's had he's had a fumble recoveries, he's had interceptions, just been
Yeah.
all over the field. And he's not even afraid to talk trash to his own teammates. He's talking trash to his guys half the time
Yeah,
more than he is to
100%,
the other
man.
team.
Yeah, I
I know
saw that.
you know damn well that he's going to make a huge hit on one of those guys. It's probably Edwards Hilaire because he loves to pin his ears out on the running backs.
Mhm.
He's going to go look over at Andy Reid, point at him like he did to Sean Payton a couple weeks ago, and just be like, "You're in for a long night, pal."
Yeah,
Not
they
not in
better be
the
in for a long,
PG
yeah.
version that I said. Definitely an X-rated version, but
Oh, definitely 100%, man.
just Devin White has been my player for them the
Mhm.
entire especially last two games for them, and I don't think it's even really
Yeah.
close. Got to go Tampa Bay.
Yeah, 100%. Like I said, they need to really step up this game. I know how terrific they are, but going against this Chiefs wide receiver core, these running backs, these tight ends, they are going to have to be the group to make the biggest impact, I think, for this Bucks team. So
Yeah,
that's really what the key comes down to on their defensive side of the ball.
yeah, and it's going to see how Todd Bowles utilizes them. Is he going to drop them
Mhm.
into coverage and make Kansas City go down the field, or is he just going to allow them to rush, bring them on the blitz? Because Devin White's one
Yeah.
of the best blitzing linebackers this season too. So
Definitely.
let's go now down to the secondary here. So for the Bucks, we got Carlton Davis, Jamal Dean, Sean Murphy Bunting, and Ross Cockrell. And then for the Chiefs, Rashad Breeland, Javarius Ward, Janarius Sneed, and Rashawn Fenton. Where we got here?
This is a tough group because I feel like both teams have showed an ability in the back half certain games. Both teams have kind of struggled at times. I'm going to lean Kansas City just a little bit solely because I think Rashad Breeland is one of the more underrated cornerbacks in the NFL. I think that to me, he can really have an impact in this game. We saw it a little bit last postseason. He really stepped up. So I'm going to lean the Kansas City Chiefs a little bit here, but it's really close to me. I mean, I'd like to see how this cornerback group matches up against Tyreek Hill because we know that they over the past couple of weeks they've done some really good things at times, but that one game just keeps sticking in my mind that Tyreek Hill was the guy that really exploited this secondary more than other teams. So that's the way I'm leaning. What about you?
Oh, for me, I mean, I got it for especially in the cornerbacks section. I'm gonna probably lean Tampa Bay, just
Hmm.
because of how hot Sean Murphy Bunting is right now.
Hmm.
He has been absolutely nothing short of lock down. He's literally
100%.
taken half of the field away. That's how good he's been. I mean, has he gotten away with some holding? Absolutely, but that's for another time. And
Yeah.
but still, I mean, he's had an interception in all three postseason games. I think I think one of the X factors is really going to be Antonio Brown against L'Jarius Sneed in the slot. I think
Hmm.
that's going to be a huge component because L'Jarius Sneed, as an undrafted rookie, has really stepped up and been a sleeper of a corner. But I'm going to have to
Yeah.
slightly go with Tampa just because of Sean Murphy Bunting and Carlton Davis's ability to be pretty good. I think Murphy Bunting is going to probably end up getting the task of Tyreek Hill, in my opinion.
Yeah, 100%. I would agree. Then I think they'll probably, hopefully, shadow someone over the top, but we'll see what they do with that situation.
Yeah, absolutely. So now to the second half of the secondary, which is the safety position. You got Antoine Winfield Jr., Jordan Whitehead, and Mike Edwards, and the Chiefs, Tyron Matthew, Juan Thornhill, and Daniel Sorensen. How are we looking there?
This is a tough one. Another tough situation group, but I think that I'm gonna have to lean Chiefs again with this one. I really like the Bucks young guys. Antoine Winfield has become a stud, but the Honey Badger to me is just too good of a playmaker in these big games. I think he's gonna have a big play or two late in the game. So give me the Chiefs secondary safeties in this one.
Yeah, I gotta agree with you. I think they're gonna. You have the Honey Badger's the best one out in the secondary.
Mhm.
It's not even close in my
Yeah.
opinion. He's absolutely a force. I think they're gonna really move him down a lot. He's gonna be I think he's gonna be a lot playing a rover position this here because I know Tom loves to get the ball out quick, and Tampa Bay has really started to hone in on those crossing patterns.
Mhm.
So I think he's gonna play a more of a rover spot, which will allow Daniel Sorensen to play a little bit further back. That's more of Sorensen's skill level because he's more of a he either plays coverage or he comes on the safety blitz. So I think
Mhm.
Tyrann Matthews' role is going to be pretty much whatever he wants, which is going to be really unique to see because I think he's going to be all over the field with his speed and his ability as the
Mhm.
best one. So I'm going to have to agree with you there. I'm going to have to lean Kansas City as well. So last position group that we got to go over special teams. Do we think it might play a role? I mean, the spread is only 3, so I think it will.
Yep.
Let's look at special teams here. What do we got, Pat?
Well, to me, I think it's going to be the Chiefs for me. Harrison Butker, I think I would trust him a lot late. Miko Hardman to me has been really good in the return game. He's a really quick guy, playmaker out of the wide receiver group. I think he can make a big player too. But with the rain and stuff, it's going to be really sloppy. This is going to be very important for these extra points. I just would really trust Buckner out of all the kickers here.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with you. Go with the guy who's the most consistent, and that's Harrison Butker. He's probably he's in the conversation as the in the top 3 kickers in the game entirely.
Mhm.
That's how good he's been since coming into the league. Probably he probably could argue for second behind Justin Tucker, but
Yeah.
I think Ryan Succop's had a good year, but I think a crucial component is how is Ryan Succop's height on his kicks. He does
Mhm.
not get that much height because
No.
so I think their blocks could be a play, especially for Tampa Bay if they don't tread some water there and be careful in that regard. Because Suckup is one that is more known for a more casual. He tries to keep it free flowing with his motion and tries to
Mhm.
ensure that he's getting his accuracy more on point, not his height and then and his distance. So I think that could be play an actual role than many people different realize. And then Miko Hardman's absolutely sensational. So I gotta agree with you there. Kansas City definitely in the special teams group. All right, Patrick, give me a name that is who will be flying under the radar that will make a play in this game.
Well, I think I'm going to start with the guy that we just talked about, Miko Hardman. I think that he's going to be utilized a lot more in the jet sweep category. I think we're going to see a lot of screens, some quick passes to not only Tyreek Hill, but him. And I think that he could really break open a big play. We saw it in the AFC Championship game. He had that fumble, then he bounced back, got a big play in the first half that really broke open that game a little bit. So I'm going to lean Miko Hardman as a guy who's not really being talked about a lot, but could really play an important role in this game for the Kansas City Chiefs.
I like that. I like that pick a lot. That was honestly going to be mine if,
Oh
but
wow.
I'll go with someone else. I'm gonna go Cameron Brate out of for Tampa Bay. I know
Hmm.
he definitely does not get the recognition out of that Tampa Bay onslaught of weapons, and he's
Hmm.
usually the one that ends up flying under the radar. But he'll easily still probably have 5-6 catches, potentially a touchdown. So I think Cameron Brate could be in for a monster day because I think there's going to be a real opportunity for him if he's able to stay away from Tyrann Matthew in the coverage scenario. So he's going to be mine.
Hmm.
So
I definitely like that one too, because again, Antonio Brown, he's a little bit questionable. He'll probably play, but we don't know how effective he'll be. So really, you're going to need a third option to step up, and I think Brake definitely could have a touchdown in this game and a couple of catches.
yeah, absolutely. All right, Patrick, give me who's the Super Bowl MVP before we do some picks.
Oh man, well, I'm gonna have to go with Patrick Mahomes. I think that he has a superb game. I know you know that I'm a big Patriots guy. I love Brady, but I don't know. I just can't bet against Patrick Mahomes right now. I think that he has a terrific game and he lights up this Bucks defense just enough late in the game to really make a name for himself and break away in this game.
All right, I do like that selection. I can't argue with it, but I'm gonna go from a guy from the other side, and it's not gonna be Tom Brady. Actually, I'm gonna go with. I think it's actually gonna be Mike Evans. I really do.
Oh, I like that.
I think Mike Evans could have a monster game. I know you mentioned it earlier that he could be. I think he might end up having 175 to 200 yards receiving because I think
Mhm.
that's secondary. I think he's Brashawn Breeland's really a side corner. He's not one that covers your number one the entire game. So I think they're
Mhm.
going to really pick on Shadandrick West on the other side, and he struggled in the past couple weeks against Buffalo. He struggled especially in the Cleveland game. He got burnt a couple times. So I
Mhm.
wouldn't be surprised if Mike Evans lines up on West for a strong period of time, has a big game. I'm going Mike Evans as my MVP.
I like that pick, man. I like it. Good
Yep, no
stuff.
quarterback. I wanted to go
Yeah,
outside the
nice.
box. All right, so here we go. The spread is 3. Kansas City -3. So and it's a home game for Tampa Bay. So it's really
Mhm.
more 6 if it was on a neutral field, right?
Yeah.
So give me a winner and does who covers? If
Well,
you pick Kansas City to win, do they cover?
I'm gonna go Kansas City, and I do think they cover. I got them at a score of about 34-27. I think it's going to be somewhat of a high scoring game. I think both of these offenses are going to be able to move the ball at times, really work the red zone. Kansas City, they were 5 for 6 in the red zone against Buffalo. They converted those touchdowns. They are a really good red zone team. I think that they get a little bit of a lead. I think Tampa Bay tries to come back late, but I think Chris Jones makes a big play late and the Chiefs hold on. So that's what I'm going with. What about you?
I can't go against the GOAT. I can't
I
do it.
know.
I can't. I really can't. I'm rolling with Tampa Bay. This is the icing on the cake for Tom Brady if he gets it done. I think his leadership, he may not have the best game. I think this game could have a lot of turnovers, honestly, with as we
Mhm.
mentioned, it's going to be a sloppy track on Sunday. So I
Yeah,
think the ball's
definitely.
going to be wet. It's going to be I think the turnovers could be a factor. And I think the one thing that's going to happen though is that Tom Brady's just his aura being on that field. It doesn't matter if he's even on the field. I think the aura that is Tom Brady's going to somehow get the job done. That's what they've been doing this postseason. He hasn't been
Mhm.
playing extraordinary, but he's just having him on the sidelines gives like a different feel, and you almost assume that Tampa Bay is going to figure it out.
Yeah,
So
man.
I'll give a score too. I'm gonna go Tampa Bay 30-27. I think it's gonna be by a field goal. And I
And
think Harrison Butker is actually gonna miss one at the end to tie
oh,
it. That's
I'm
my
rooting for
bold
your pick
statement. It's not
because
nothing's gonna happen, but Harrison Butker's gonna have the game on the line. He's gonna blow it.
dude, I'm rooting for your pick. You know, I'm a diehard Tom Brady guy. I hope that they pull it off. It's just so tough. I think this is probably on paper one of the most competitive Super Bowls that I have seen in my lifetime. So I'm excited for it,
Oh
man.
my goodness, I am so excited. This game's gonna be one for. It better be one for the record books. Otherwise, this is gonna be the most hated country
Yeah,
ever. That this Super Bowl. If this Super Bowl is a total dud, I'll tell you that for sure.
yeah.
All right, I gotta ask you. Will Tom Brady retire if he gets it done?
No, I don't think so. He's already talking about playing till he's past 45. I just don't think he wants to quit. He loves it too much. I if he
What
does
else
win,
is he
I
gonna do?
he's just gonna keep winning. I mean, I hope he retires after this game if he does win, but I just don't see it. I just think he just wants to keep playing, keep winning, keep having fun.
Man, I really wish. I'm only half the reason I'm picking them is I'm hoping he retires, so the rest of the
Yeah.
NFL actually has a chance. Because whenever Tom Brady's there, you might as well lock him in as one of the 4 teams to be in the championship game.
Oh, 100%.
It's not even
Just
fair. You
it's
don't even
not fair anymore.
you're already playing for one spot. Well, you're on the other side with your Pats and stuff. You have 2 spots, but for me as a Washington fan, I'm already writing down for one spot left.
Yeah.
Lock in the Bucks for next year. What do you think's gonna be the storyline? Is it that Patrick Mahomes dethrones Brady or what?
See, I think it's just too early to start talking about him dethroning Brady. I think it goes a long way for the rest of his career, potentially getting to that GOAT talk. But I see people saying that this guy is in the GOAT conversation. Like, he's a great player, don't get me wrong. He's a superb talent. But we got to remember, this is only year 3. Like, anything can happen. Like, we never thought Andrew Luck would retire as early as he did, but that happens. So I just don't want to jump to that conclusions. If he does get this win over Brady, it does go a far way for his legacy down the road. But I still need to see it in year 5. I still need to see it in year 10. Something that Brady has done since 2000. I mean, he's only missed the playoffs, I believe, once when he was in, and then the Patriots missed one when he was hurt. So, I mean, I need to see Mahomes' career play out. And I think he's on the right track right now, but we still got to see a lot more in order to put him in that Brady, that Joe Montana, that John Elway conversation of being great talents, great winners.
If the Chiefs win, do you think this could be a dynasty run like what the Patriots did?
Yeah, 100%. Because I mean, looking at their free agent, they don't have many free agents for next year. Their core guys are still all there. I mean, it'll have to be something disastrous next year for them not to make the playoffs, not to have pretty much that AFC championship spot locked up. Because I don't see many teams in the AFC being able to compete with them right now with the landscape of the NFL going as it is going into this offseason.
Yeah, and I think this was one of the craziest things that I've heard this week is that if Patrick Mahomes just openly came out and retired after if they win on Sunday, that's two rings in the 3 years he was a starter. He's
Mm-hmm.
got to be a first ballot Hall of Famer, right?
Oh,
It's almost,
100%.
I think it's not even a question. I think people were up in arms about that statement that I heard, and I was like, "Are you kidding?" The man
Yeah.
has been a starter for 3 years. He would have lost once in the postseason, and it would have been to Tom Brady.
Mm-hmm.
What's there to argue, right?
Yeah, and now also on the other side of this, because I love that you bring this up, I hate the talk too that if Brady beats Mahomes, then Mahomes can never be in the GOAT conversation. Like,
Oh, I agree there, though. I
they,
agree on that one.
like obviously it's going to take a lot, but if Mahomes does go on a 5 to 6 year run where he's winning 3, 4 Super Bowls in a row, like you can't take, like, you got to let the career play out. I think still either way. I mean, if he loses, it does take a lot away from it. I do agree with that aspect to where it's going to be really hard to catch Brady as the GOAT, but I still think he could get there if he surpasses him in so many different levels.
I don't know. I think the GOAT goes away because I don't know if we'll even get this matchup ever again, and Tom Brady will have the head to head. And it's not a prime a Tom Brady in his prime. I know Patrick isn't even in his prime yet, which is
Mhm.
freaking scary. But
Yeah,
but
yeah,
still, I think even if Pat gets like to Patrick, excuse me, not Patrick. I know he gets upset when they don't call
yeah.
him his
He's
full
gonna
name.
he's gonna
So I,
come
I,
at you,
I
man.
apologize, Patrick Mahomes, but still, if if I'm telling you, with Brady 7 out of 10, Patrick Mahomes would have to win. He would have to go 8 for 9 or 8 for 10. That would be it because he would have to be almost perfect because
Hmm.
he will not have the head to head to Tom Brady because I don't think this matchup will ever happen again.
Yeah,
So I don't know.
unless it happens next year. If Brady returns and they happen again next year, you never know. But
Oh,
yeah, I definitely see where you're coming from with the head to head.
yeah, I think it's a interesting talking point. I really do. So,
Hmm.
all right, before I let you go, I want to switch it off of Super Bowl real quick. Give you because of I've been seeing your stuff about potential Carson Wentz on the move from out of Philadelphia.
Hmm.
What are your thoughts on that? And then I want to get your overall opinion on the Goff Stafford trade.
So with Wentz, I actually have been going back and forth because there's so many conflicting reports out there. But to me, if he's that unhappy with the organization and the Eagles are getting a ton of interest in him, where you could get maybe a first, multiple picks, I mean, I don't see why they wouldn't trade him. I think Jalen Hurts, to me, is not as polished, obviously, as a passer. He brings a different dynamic. Can he be a starting quarterback? I don't really know. But if you're going to have Carson Wentz miserable, even with the new coaching staff, with the organization as a whole, I think it'll be good to explore options and see if you could get a king's ransom for him. I think one team, the Colts, could definitely be interested in him. I always thought that he would be a great landing spot for there just because he has that prior connection with Frank Reich there. So I think if teams are going to call up and offer that much, and if that relationship is as shattered as the reports talk about, I just am all for trading the player and getting as much as you can, even if it hurts the organization a little bit moving forward, because you can always rebuild
Yeah,
or
I just don't
rebuild.
know. I mean, it's got to be either Indy because I don't think I've heard Indy and Chicago. What is
Mhm.
Chicago's not going to fall into the Philly trap again with this whole full Nick Foles situation. There's
Yeah,
no way they're going to buy that, right? I just don't think that's possible.
I just think Chicago would be a poor decision on their part.
Chicago would go up in flames. The whole
But
city would burn.
then again, Chicago has proved us wrong before, so I don't really know. But I just can't see Chicago going for him.
All right,
I
so
mean,
I think Indy's the most logical explanation. I don't
yeah,
know who else would try and go out and get
I
him.
think a team that could be potentially interested that I know is looking for a quarterback is San Francisco. I keep hearing reports that they're actively pursuing a quarterback. I think it would be a mistake for them to go after Carson Wentz or Kirk Cousins, a guy that I have seen tweets that they're really interested in. I just don't see the upside for them there. But they're a team that looks like they're actively pursuing a
I
quarterback.
have them to. They've been my destination for Deshaun for like the past 2 months. That's where I want him.
I think Watson
I
to
think
the
Deshaun should
49ers
go
would be the
there.
best.
They'll
Yeah.
be instant. They'll be in the. You can lock them, pencil them in for the NFC Championship if they get
Oh,
Deshaun Watson.
100%. I mean, to me, just like with the Wentz and Watson, I mean, that relationship seems so fractured. He's talking about sitting out a year. Like, I know that he's an elite talent, but if you're Houston, what are you really getting out of this? If he sits out, if he doesn't want to be there, you're pretty much losing your quarterback for at least this year, maybe the following years, and you're not getting any picks in return. So obviously, don't sell low. But if you could get a king's ransom and you could get multiple firsts and you could literally rebuild this team quicker than it would be not having any picks, then I'm all for it.
Well, I mean, Detroit got two just for Stafford, and they
Yeah,
got a quarterback back.
I don't like that trade for like I don't hate the trade for the Rams. I
Oh,
don't like
the
what they
Lions
gave
won
up.
the deal. It wasn't even
Yeah, the
close.
Lions won the deal in terms of what they got. But really it comes down to, can Stafford win the Super Bowl within a year or two? Because
That's what
that's
you
what his
have. That's all
contract
you
is.
have.
But you legit need to win a Super Bowl, or this deal was not worth it.
Well,
That's
yeah, because I talked about this on my pod when it first dropped that
mhm,
you don't have a first round pick for 8 years now because
mhm,
of this deal. 8 years because of the Jalen Ramsey trade, now Stafford, all that. Your organization is doomed now if you don't win a championship with Stafford in the next 2 to 3 years.
mhm,
Like they're gonna be done. McVay will be out. It'll be full rebuild.
mhm. Yeah, I think you made a great point that if this deal backfires, then they just need to get a whole new regime and say this is not working, because this team really, if you look at it, I mean, obviously Goff, he's not the best quarterback, but he's been a winner on the team. He's been to a Super Bowl. This past season, he did really well bringing them to the playoffs. A lot of people were low on them. Uh, he has shown an ability to win most of these games when it matters the most. I'm not saying he's the best quarterback, but I mean, he's not that much less than Matthew Stafford, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. I think Detroit won the deal. I think the only reason Detroit got so much is because the GM of Detroit now was the one of the player personnel guys on the Rams.
Yeah.
So I think he knew that he could push the Rams buttons a little bit. They knew Stafford, that's where he wanted to go. He knew
Hmm.
you're going to get. He knows what he can get out of Goff, even if it's just for him to be a bridge quarterback for 2 to 3
Hmm.
years in their rebuild.
Yeah.
So
I actually saw that Washington, your Washington team, offered more or a better package
we
for
did offer a
Stafford.
better deal. I'm pretty sure we offered one or two of our D linemen.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. I think it was either Allen or Payne was part of the deal. It wasn't.
Hmm.
We didn't put up Sweaters Young, but we put up one of the two interior guys.
Yeah.
And then I think we gave up a first rounder and then maybe a late round pick. I can't remember. That's what I've heard too. I've read that we gave up a better deal. I wanted him bad. I really did. Because then
Hmm.
all we have to do is put another wide receiver out there and then we're good to go.
Yeah.
We'd
Your
be ready to
team is
rock and
really
roll.
set. I like what
Because
your
our D
organization
linemen,
has done.
we have so much depth on the D line that we could have afforded to give away one of them.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
like we have
100%.
Settle and Ioannidis as our two backups. Like Ioannidis and Settle would probably be starters on if it wasn't for our freaking
Hmm.
stacked up D linemen. You know?
Now, would you want your team to trade for a Watson?
Oh, I'd give up whatever they want. I'd give him Chase
Hmm.
Young. I really would. I would consider that. That's how you your organization is set for the next decade with Deshaun Watson.
Yeah. 100%.
That's how good he is. So I will give up whatever they want. I would. I think we'll end up picking up some guy and probably end up with Cam because we keep bringing in all the Carolina people, but
I would not want to take Cam.
I don't. I don't know. Maybe we'll bring. I don't know. I don't want us to draft one because I don't think We're projected Trey Lance at the moment. I don't want him.
Yeah.
Trey. I do not. He has played 4 quarters in and it will be 2 years since he would played football. No
Hmm.
thanks. You don't know what you're gonna get.
Yeah. I mean,
So I would probably,
I'm.
if I had to draft a quarterback, I would go Mac Jones.
Mhm.
But I don't know. We need to go secondary. That's what I want. Go secondary in the draft. Get a solid corner, and then we'll pick up a guy. Maybe end up getting a. Trying to think of a free agent right now. Maybe we'll end up grabbing Trubisky or something.
Yeah. There's a couple of decent quarterback free agents. I mean, I think
I
like
mean,
bridge guy.
this quarterback free agency class is going to be really bad, but we
Hmm.
can't do much worse than what we had. I mean, Alex Smith was a great story, but he could not stand back there for whatsoever. So,
Yeah.
but I would give up as much as we could offer for Deshaun Watson. I really would. What about you? What do you think for your Pats? What do you think you guys got to do?
I honestly have no idea. Like at this point, it's like we're in that kind of same range of where you guys are. You're a few picks behind us, to where we're in limbo because the top three quarterbacks are going in the top five. So I don't really want to trade up because it's going to take a lot to trade up to get one of those guys. Um, but I honestly have no idea. I don't want to bring back Cam. Uh, what I would like to maybe do is draft a Mac Jones. I don't know if he's worth the 15 overall pick, but draft Mac Jones and then bring in a guy like Ryan Fitzpatrick who could be a bridge quarterback who could mentor him for a year,
Mm-hmm.
and then just try to take offensive weapons. That's what we need. Like I'm still confident in our defense. I just have no confidence in my offense whatsoever. So that's kind of the plan that I would want to go. But it's tough this year with the quarterback situations when you're trying to draft a guy because the value of these quarterbacks in this draft class are just so high because of the current cap
And it's
situation.
yeah,
And
and they're
then,
also it's a very top heavy
yeah,
draft.
definitely top heavy,
You have
100%.
those three guys, and then there's a significant drop from 3 to 4.
Hmm.
I think you have Lawrence at 1, Then I think Zach Wilson or Justin Fields could go either way.
Yeah.
And then there's another huge drop to either Jones or Lance, depending on who's evaluating them better.
Yeah. Yeah,
But
100%. I think, like you said, Lance, to me, he's a guy who has all the potential, but like we just haven't seen enough. So
yeah,
he's like the biggest risk reward out of this group. So I honestly like don't know where he's going to fall, because teams are going to think about that. They're going to think about how this guy took a year off, and you're not going to want to put that risk in a top 10 to 15 pick. So I really don't know. But it'll be an interesting offseason, definitely, with all these rumors. So I'm excited about it.
yeah, definitely. It's going to be really interesting to play out. If you guys don't remember already, we've kind of backtracked off of our Super Bowl a little bit, going off of big potential storylines. But I have Tampa Bay. Pat Sweeney's got the football therapist. Pat Sweeney has Kansas City. He has Kansas City winning by a touchdown. I've got Tampa Bay by a field goal. Pat, thanks for coming on. It's always a pleasure.
Yeah.
Why don't you let everybody know where they can check you out?
Well, again, thanks for having me on, man. This is always fun. This is the second time, and we've gone on IG Live a couple times, so really appreciate this.
Yep.
You guys want to check me out? I'm on Instagram at The Football Therapist. You could check me out on YouTube at The Football Therapist, and then you could check out my website, thefootballtherapist.com, where I post a lot of my content there too. But thanks again, and we got to do this again soon, man. This is always a good time.
Absolutely. We'll do a mock draft round for when the draft gets a little closer. All right.
Sounds awesome, man.
Yeah,
Appreciate
absolutely.
it.
Thanks for coming on, man. Remember, if you guys don't remember the football therapist's info, it will all be in the comments section that is off of my YouTube page. Have a great weekend, everyone. Enjoy the Super Bowl. There's a potential that it could be one of the greatest ever. So cherish the moment. Have a great weekend.